Hi, so in this video we're going to look at a drone in the key of C. So C and G in the bass mainly. I think exclusively a C and G in the bass, I'll stick to that. And we're going to have a look at the Ionian mode, the major mode, and look at all the chords that are in that. Then we're going to look at making a mode from the circle of fifths, which will give us a Lydian scale. And we're going to put some chords from the Lydian scale on top of that as well. After that, we're going to talk a little bit about voicings, how you can play, and you should practice these chords in different positions so you can make this work better for you. And then I'm going to mix this up by looking at some of the other modes. So I'll probably look at the Locrian mode, maybe the Phrygian, the Dorian, the Aeolian, just have a look at, and the Mixolydian as well actually, and just see what it sounds like if you play chords purely in those scales. And then one more thing, which is a bit more crazier, is maybe split the scales in half. So look at it in like a tetrachord, look at a 4-note scale and the next 4-note scale, and maybe you can mix and match them. That's something I'll leave you with to explore yourselves a little bit. Okay, so here's the scale of C major. Let's put a drone there, root in the fifth. I might get rid of the G now and again, but let's just see what we can work with there. So if we stack chords on top, we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G, A minor, B diminished. Now for this exercise, it would probably be good for you to explore this fully by playing the chords in all their inversions. Look, E minor, taking that E up there, and learning the chords in all their positions. But for the moment I'll try and play them in root. So let's see which work, let's have a listen to them. C major over the drone, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished. So it's hard for us, isn't it, to say which works and which doesn't, because it depends on what musical context you want. You might well want that kind of sound, but then you might not. It depends on the context of the sound. So there you could hear certain chords have certain characteristics. Let's go back on the drone. That would be interesting voiced differently. You see, a different voicing. Try it this way. So maybe we're here. Completely changes the characteristic of it. Now, if we were to look at notes going up in the circle of fifths, and we kept stacking them up, I might run out of room here on the camera. But if I carried on after that E there, I would have a B and then an F sharp. Now if we closed all those notes up, we would have this scale, which is called the Lydian. Now a lot of music theorists call the fourth note the avoid note. So let's take this scale that I've constructed, and many music theorists do, from the circle of fifths, and I've stopped at the bottom of the circle of fifths. So I've started at the top, gone all the way down, and when it gets to the bottom here to F sharp, I've stopped. So we then have a scale called a Lydian. Now we've got a different set of chords we can try if we think about that. Obviously I'm on a C bass, and some of you might be thinking, well, that's just G major. Absolutely, of course it is. And if I was to resolve to G, then it would sound like I was playing the fourth chord, 1, 2, 3, of the scale of G. It would sound like I was playing the fourth note, and then it would resolve to the G. So I'm just going to stick on the drone for this exercise so we don't have that as an issue to contend with at the moment. So there we go. Let me just improvise over that. Listen it without the F sharp. I mean, I can get it to work like that. But often this is a sound, you do get this a lot in pop. That kind of sound. So, there we go. So that's the Lydian scale, and of course we can find some different chords now. D over the drone. E minor, which we've had. Ooh, a kind of a D7. Yeah, interesting. The G, the A, the B minor. And then the C. Now, if you learn your voicings, it's interesting if they're voiced. Look, let's go from C down to G, into the D, into the C, to the G, the D, the C. Okay, so that is the Lydian scale. So the first scale we did was the major scale, which if we call it the mode, is Ionian. The Lydian scale, the characteristic of a Lydian scale is to sharpen the fourth note there. Okay, so I could go through and do all the modes. We could look through and try different modes and see how they sound against the drone. So let's pick another one randomly. Mixolydian, which is a flat 7 mode. So then that would lead to some interesting chords. Oh, that's a good one. Okay, let's try another mode. Should we try Dorian mode? Dorian is a flat 3, flat 7 mode, so C major would be that. But we want to make it into a Dorian, we flatten that, and we flatten that. Okay, there we go. So there, let me improvise in that mode. Now we get some different chords over the drone. We'll look at this. Again. Ooh. If we made that an Aeolian, which is a flat mode like that, there we go. So then we're going to get that A flat, aren't we? That would be interesting if you knew your inversions, because A flat's there, but if I could invert it, I could go. Let's go up anyway. Flat. The seventh, well, let's try which is the 7th mode normally in a key, would be the Locrian. That'd be interesting, look at that. Look at that, whoa. Let's try that against that, so we're going to have a lot of chords there like these. Whoa. That's definitely a certain sound you're after, isn't it there? Let's go back a little bit to one that's not quite as dark as that, the Phrygian, which is the 3rd mode, which would be the Spanish mode. So there, we have some interesting notes there. That works rather nicely. Voicing that would be lovely, because if we had, let's say we had a C chord and we went up to the D flat there, we're hovering towards another kind of chord there. Not got the right root, but it's kind of a bit like a Neapolitan 6. One more thing you could try, if you dare, is actually think of it as a tetrachord. So think of a 4 note, 1, 2, 3, 4, and mix them. You could mix them. So let's have a think. Lydian is this. Right, let's take the first 4 notes of the Lydian and then have the next part of it as the dominant, because that's a dominant. That's a C7, that's a Mixolydian. This is a Lydian. And if we think about it in 2 arms and mix it, we get a Lydian dominant. So you could go through, look. Linking those together, seeing what things you find. It's interesting, isn't it? If you know your inversions, like I've said, that really helps. Ooh, that's good, isn't it? So there you go. You see all the different kind of possibilities you can. There's not just one truth, as I always say, but there's a way of just unlocking some different sounds. A bit crazy at the end there, wasn't it? Just mixing the 2 halves together, like one scale at the bottom part, and then the top part, and vice versa. You could swap right around. I've only just scratched the surface. It's what lies beneath that's interesting. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye for now.